Epilepsy is a neurological condition that causes a person to have recurring seizures. A seizure is a brief disruptive discharge of electrical impulses in the brain. It may involve the whole brain or just part of it. The brain acts like a computer, directing the body by sending tiny electrical signals between neurons or brain cells. They switch on and off millions of times a day, but sometimes the neurons fire inappropriately, and that could cause a seizure.
So epilepsy is really a simple definition. It's having one or more unprovoked seizures and a tendency to have more. The cause of epilepsy is different for many individuals, and so epilepsy in itself is a very heterogeneous condition, and it really depends on the individual.
The most common types of seizures in children are absence, simple or complex partial, tonic-clonic.
So an absence seizure, or what they used to call it was petit mal seizure, are characterized by sudden onset and sudden offset of really a lapse of awareness or decreased responsiveness. So it comes on quite quickly. They may see children having some eyelid fluttering, eye rolling. Sometimes some lip chewing can be seen. They're usually quite brief, less than 30 seconds, and the offset is usually quite quick like that. They usually come right back to consciousness, and they may be aware of actually missing out on time, and they do not remember the events that happened during it most of the time. These can happen 100 times per day.
This girl has absence seizures. You'll see her have one while she's talking. She stops talking in the middle of a sentence, and there's a vacant look in her eyes. Sometimes absence seizures are so short they're easy to miss. This boy is having frequent but very brief episodes. You can see his eyes roll up and his eyelids flutter.
So partial seizures can look like, so very many different things depending on what area of the brain they come from. They can be very subtle or they can be very obvious. Something is called a simple partial seizure if they seem to be completely aware throughout the whole event and they remember it. And something is called a complex partial seizure if it seems like their awareness is decreased.
This young man is having a complex partial seizure and his consciousness is impaired. These seizures are the most common form of epilepsy in teenagers and adults.
Kevin?
Complex partial seizures may create a variety of automatic movements or behaviors, such as this young woman is having. She cannot control these movements, nor is she aware of them. The movements of her hands are automatic. They look like deliberate movements, but they are not. They are part of the seizure. Her awareness of her surroundings is clouded.
So the generalized tonic-clonic seizure, or what used to be called the grand mal seizure, are the seizures which the whole body is involved. And, the children are usually unconscious. It usually starts with a stiffening of the body, straight like a board, and then afterwards clonic jerking of the extremities, so rhythmic jerking of the arms and the leg. The eyes may roll up. There may be some decrease in breathing, and they may turn a little bit blue around the lips. There may be some foaming at the mouth. These ones as well are usually brief, usually less than a few minutes.
Understanding first aid for seizures is probably the #1 thing that people can do for themselves to better dispel some of the fears and misunderstandings about epilepsy, and understanding what you can do to help out gives people a sense of control, and that helps give people a bit more confidence. So the primary steps for first aid for seizures, for a convulsive seizure to start off with, are first and foremost get the person into a comfortable and safe position. Usually that is lying on their side. It doesn't matter which side. You want to move anything out of the way that they may bang up against or that they may hurt themselves if they were to hit. If you can cushion the head if it's a hard surface, that would be more comfortable. And you want to loosen anything that's tight that might constrict the airway around the neck. Beyond that, you want to keep the person comfortable. Try to stay as calm as you can. Reassure them. Never under any circumstances put anything in their mouth. Don't try to restrain them during a seizure.
Usually, it's not necessary to call an ambulance for a tonic-clonic seizure, but there are exceptions. An ambulance should be called if a seizure lasts more than 5 minutes, or if you're unsure of how long it has lasted. For first-time seizures, repeated seizures, or changes in seizures, or if the person is injured, has diabetes, or is pregnant.
For patients who are not having a convulsive seizure, they may stare, they may appear confused, they may say unusual things. You don't need to lie them down. You need to keep them in a safe place and not restrain them. So if they're standing at the top of the stairs, you want to move them away from those stairs and allow them to move freely in a safe environment. You want to stay as calm as you possibly can, and you want to reassure that person. And again, when the seizure is over, it's very important to reassure the patient, as they may have no memory of what has happened.
For thousands of young people, epilepsy is a part of their school experience. Some will need lots of help, others not so much. But all students with epilepsy have a right to an environment where people understand their needs and where people accept and include them in all aspects of school life.